In the last 2.5 years, I've created websites, desktop apps, AI models, and code editor extensions. And so here's everything that I've learned. Number one, and this is a very big one, it is actually the most likely reason that you'll quit your next idea. And so I think you should take this very seriously because on most of my projects throughout my 2.5 year process, I was super susceptible to this shiny object syndrome of hopping from idea to idea, of completing some idea to some degree, and then switching to the next one. And I don't know if this is an exaggeration or not, but it might be the greatest killer of most good ideas that most developers have fallen into. I know I have. And so if you can just understand the trap of this syndrome, you will be just so much more ahead than most developers. You'll be ahead of me at least. Because I would get to very rough, boring, stagnating points and then I would quit. I would get bored and then I would just get to a new idea that I like, that sounded nice. And so now I've realized after throwing so many good ideas into the trash that I actually have to stick to some idea and pull through with it entirely. And so that's what I'm working on. Stellar AI is probably my newest and my best project. Now, number two, which is probably the very stupid reason that most ideas fail and that most developers don't do, I know at least I didn't, is about planning. Such a simple thing, but many don't do it. Now, I'm pretty sure that every self-taught coder has at least once had this mistake. So the very first thing that I built 2.5 years ago was a social media website. And the idea was going more so great, but I had no plan at all of execution. And so I would be deciding on the way as I go what task I'll do next. So naturally, without a plan, development trailed on and it took months and months and months. It turned from, oh, I will finish it by April to I'm in June and I don't know when I'm going to finish this. And my focus would get drifted away to things like little pop-ups and CSS stylization and things that don't really matter as much as to the functionality. And so that was my case, but I think most people would have fallen into this trap. What you have to do is create a proper timeline. And so that's what I understood with my next thing, which was an AI model, which I actually had a timeline for. You have to first research the idea, to see if anyone's actually interested in what you're building, if they're going to use it. And you complete the back end by so-and-so date. Then you complete the front end by so-and-so date, everything kind of planned out step by step. Okay, today I will finish this specific feature, and I didn't have that. And I'm pretty sure most developers don't. And so probably the best idea is to constrain your development to 1 to 2 months. So if you've already been developing more than that, personally, in my personal opinion, you're fully cooked. Thoroughly like fried steak or I don't know, grilled steak. Either way, doesn't matter. Either way, the chance that your idea will fail is very high. At least mine did, because you'll end up in your stinky room on day 594 of development and with no clear end. And then eventually shiny object syndrome will get to you and you'll switch to another idea. And number three, which is most likely going to be very hard for you to get, and it is that quitting is normal. This may be something you've never heard before, but you're most likely going to quit your idea. And I know it's hard to understand that. For me at least it was, because I didn't want to admit, okay, I'm going to actually end up quitting this beautiful idea that I have. And I had this feeling, especially when I had very little experience in the very beginning. I would get a fantastic idea and I would want to cling on to it. I wouldn't want to leave it, And so somebody telling you, yeah, you're probably going to quit, and that's okay, and that's supposed to happen, just kind of felt like, no, man, I don't want to do that. You want to resist to that truth somehow. And while yes, I would have loved to stick to an idea, and so to some extent I wish I didn't quit. That's just what happens when you have very little experience, especially because I learned how to code off of YouTube. I mean, what else did I expect, right? That's how you learn. That's how you learn, through all of the best practices, right? The principles of how to code, the principles of oh, you have to plan and things like that. You learn through starting things, through failing, through quitting. And so we would like to stick to our idea with proper planning and all of that, but the most likely thing is that you will quit your first idea because you're just inexperienced, and that's just part of the process, and you just have to sit with that truth. Number four is something that I know I have, and I know you have too, but you're probably not going to admit it. Be honest, to some degree, you fantasize about the idea of kind of being like Elon Musk, and you think that once you launch your app, once you release it, you'll get users right away. You'll get people sort of recognizing your genius. I know I have that feeling. Most definitely, I've had that many times. I know with my social media website I had that. I know with my AI model I had that. I know I had that even with my most recent project. It's this kind of feeling that people will recognize your genius. It's this feeling that you'll take off and it's like fly off into the sunset, right? And so it's actually an effect that appears, because most likely what's happening, at least that was happening for me, is that I would be developing an app in isolation. So I wouldn't have anyone else to compare my app to, because I was just the only one in my social circle building something on the side. And so naturally I would feel like I'm so special, I'm so amazing, and immediately I would get this feeling that people would recognize my genius when I would release it. When I adjusted my expectations to kind of understand, okay, that's not actually happening. I'm still dreaming, but not right now. The dream is not coming right now, right? That is when I was able to build in a more productive way and sort of build something that's that's going to be great long term, rather than just hyper fixating on one moment when you'll release it and then boom, you'll explode, right? It's a continuous process. And so when I adjusted my expectations, I realized that. And so that's when you're more likely to build something great. Number 5 is for everybody who likes AI, and that machine learning is a very complicated field. It's harder than building some kind of app. Trust me, I know. I've had 2 machine learning projects that in combination took about a year of time. It's complicated because of the math. Like if you're trying to build something AI related, like a machine learning model, right? And you're trying to understand the algorithms themselves and try to tweak those algorithms, then you have to understand the math. It's considerably, JS and things like that are considerably easier than this field, which I still love, but I'm just saying that if you want to get in there, you better understand things like calculus and all of these ideas and what each algorithm does. And the likely thing is that you're going to make a mistake in interpreting the algorithm's functions. Like for example, what does the Adam optimizer have over the Adam W optimizer that's so different? Okay, that's weight decay, but what does weight decay mean and what effect does it have? And how does that change from model to model, whether I was going to choose a pure large language model or whether I was going to choose a multimodal model? And that's just one example. So it's considerably more complicated than you think. And broski, if you do not know the mathematics, then you better just stick to this. Okay? So hopefully that felt like untold secret advice that you needed to hear. If you don't actually want to quit your app and want to get it done, Stellar AI can help you do just that in the next 1 to 2 months. Link is in the description for a free, bro. But like, it's not going to stay free forever though.